to talk about the new Struts record. I believe they went home to England, and they made one more call here before we got to take a break. Let's see what we got. How about we say hello to... Here's Brent in Kansas. Now, this will be interesting because I didn't even realize this. Another stream that happened over the weekend was Sammy Hagar's birthday deal, which Sammy was going to film the day Eddie Van Halen passed away. Because I was in touch with Sammy. He was on his way to do it the day Eddie passed, and I believe shot it the next day. So Sammy Hagar's stream was one of those things where, like Corey Taylor's, where everything was done in advance, pre-produced, and basically it was a pay-per-view done online. So, Brent, tell me about it.
It was great. So at first, when I saw how much it was, I thought it might be a little bit high, but it's really not. And when you think about it, you can have as many people watching it, at one time. And
how much was it, Brent?
Per person,
how much?
It was about $25.
Okay, 25 just to watch it. That wasn't like upcharge, VIP, none of that.
No, just the basic thing. But they came out right after I got it. They came out with a notification that said that they were extending the deal through Sunday. So somebody could pay the $25 through Sunday and then have the ability to watch it for 48 hours after they paid for it. And
yeah,
so,
that seems to be the standard. It seems to be the norm. Most of them, they are archived for, and it's usually 48 hours that you can log in and watch it again, or if you can't watch it when it initially posts. So tell me about the actual production of it, because Sammy said something like there was a stage and people are going to be watching from boats or something?
Yeah, so the stage is kind of elevated up above the main beach area, and they had barriers there, so there was no way anyone could come close to the stage. And then the beach actually looked like it was pretty short, and then there were a ton of boats out there in the water, and they had the sound system. Basically, they had line arrays, speakers on both sides firing, out to the water. And it was really cool because after, people heard a song they really liked, you hear all the boats, blowing their horns and stuff. The energy of the show was really good. The playing was great. The sound, the production quality was excellent. And it was really good. So Rick Springfield showed up. Kevin Cronin showed up. They each played a song, and it was great. And so Sammy said they had to be out of there by a certain time. When it started to get dark, they would have to stop. And he actually got busted for not wearing his mask on stage. And so he made a statement like that. Like a cop said, hey, everybody needs to stay masked up, including you. And so he made an announcement like that for everybody to keep the mask on so they could continue.
Wait, Sammy had to wear a mask while performing?
Yeah, so when he was performing close to Mike, they would normally share a microphone and sing and swap spit in each other's face. But so Sammy would pull up his mask whenever he was close, to one of the other guys. And so, And so after that comment was made, they didn't do that as much. They weren't near each other as much. So,
so you're saying if they both sang
he made a headband out of it.
Yeah, but what you're saying is if they both sang on one microphone, they wanted them to pull masks up?
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting.
But he told the people in the audience, be sure and keep your mask up so we can stay. We don't want to get shut down. So
was there any any reference made to Eddie Van Halen passing away?
Yes. So they asked for a moment of silence, and he just said, I'm going to ask for everybody to be quiet for a moment, and you know why. And that's about all that he said about it, and that right then and there. And then they did the piano intro for Right Now. And he did make a reference to it later, and I think Michael said something too. Michael said something like "Love You, Eddie" or something like that. And so it was common knowledge. It had happened. And so, that's it. There was a funny moment. So Sammy had a throat lozenge in his mouth. And so when he came out, he spit it out, and you could hear it hit the stage. It was classic. And he said, by the way, that's a throat lozenge. I didn't just cough that out. So it was great.
Yeah. But basically, Brent, just to paint the scene, it was essentially just a live show, right? I mean, Rick came out. I'm sure they did. I've done everything for you because Sammy wrote that, right? And then Kevin came out. They did a couple songs, but it was a live show. There wasn't like stuff before it where there wasn't any extra. Was there like extra interview content or backstage stuff, or was it just here's an hour and a half of these guys playing?
No, there was. So out there they have, I guess, some historic venue where a lot of famous people have played. It was like a big, they called it a hall, like a dance hall or something like that. And they did it. They took a tour of that and they showed the video of that. And they agreed that they would come back and play that on a frequent basis. And so they were around town going through a museum, and Sammy was showing people who had hung out there in the past, like other groups and stars and whatnot. And he kind of just gave a background into that area there. And so it wasn't just straight music from beginning to end. It was interwoven with these other little pieces that they had shot.
Right. And it was at Catalina Island, right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Brent, thank you for that report. I appreciate it. I'm going to look that up. I'm sure I can get a link to it from Sammy or his manager to check that out, because again, another one I forgot. Look, I opened the show talking about streams coming up and streams that happen over the weekend, and between the Foo Fighters stuff with the Save Our Stages, which was a charity thing, and STP and Sammy Hagar. I mean, they're endless. There's just so many. Even me, who I do this for a living, it's hard to keep up with all of them and certainly make the time to see them. But the thing I'm going to be interested about is, okay, so all these guys, and some of them are doing quite elaborate productions. Sammy going to Catalina Island, Corey Taylor renting out the LA Forum, Metallica doing a thing in movie theaters and drive-in movie theaters. Somewhere down the line, I would not be surprised if you see these concerts be released as like bonus DVDs and deluxe box sets, or Blu-ray concerts, maybe with some extra stuff. I guarantee you, yes, it's a pay-per-view deal now, but it's just like if you buy like a boxing match on pay-per-view and you watch it because you want to see it live on that Saturday, usually the next weekend, HBO or Showtime is showing it for free or as part of the basic thing. My point is, I think a lot of this stuff is going to get repurposed somewhere down the line. You don't put that much into a production and then not, you've got all that footage, you own it, and to say, okay, I'm going to cut it into a music video, I'm going to do this with it. So even if you miss this stuff or didn't buy it, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line it starts popping up again. It would only make sense. We got to take a break. We'll get more of your calls about anything in rock coming up.
She made it happen. They got married at Richfield Coliseum during a Rat concert sometime in the mid-'90s, Derek. And apparently he and Bobby are both drummers, both from Pittsburgh, so they kind of hit it off. A couple of years later, backstage at a Rat concert after party. And who's there? Derek. Bobby apparently had called him up and invited him to come backstage for that show as well. So this was pretty cool.
Wait. Who's Derek? Who is Derek, Brian?
Derek is my buddy, the drummer, that got married at the Rat concert.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting story. I thought you might want to share with you. But I had a question about stoner rock, stoner doom. Like, back in the 90s, I got into like the Fu Manchu, Caius, all that desert scene stuff. I got into some of the kind of doom stuff, Trouble, Pentagram, whatever. Any new bands in those kind of genres that you have on your radar?
Nothing that I would really feel comfortable recommending. Thank you, Brian, for the call, only because I'm personally not that into that scene, if I'm being honest. So I'd be the wrong person to ask. I mean, I do come across bands like that. I'm trying to think of a few off the top of my head right now. I can't at the moment, but the whole stoner rock thing, not really my thing. I know that people are into it. I know it's a subgenre of heavy rock. I know there are a lot of people that are, but it's just not my thing. I tend to like stuff it's hookier with choruses and things like that. But you mentioned and you rattled off a few of the bigger bands from that genre for sure. But yeah, I'd be the last person to ask